Welcome into sportsbookreview.com. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And this is the College Football Show. As always, lots to discuss. We're going with some smaller schools today, but that's okay. Before we get involved with all of these different topics, going to go ahead and remind you, if you like the show, hit that little like button. It's a little thumbs up button right there below you. Leave a comment. Of course, jump in the comments. Let us know what you think. We would love to hear your thoughts. And, of course, if you would do us a favor, make sure you are subscribed to the show and that you check out sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. That is where you can go to get content all season long. It's going to be a good time. We'll go ahead and tell you that. First topic on the board, I want to go ahead and fire into this thing. Chris, we have an opt-in. Have you seen this today?
Yes, sir.
Vanderbilt linebacker Dimitri Moore has decided that he wants to opt back in on the season. Now, he did say 2 weeks ago that he was opting out of the season. Now, his grandfather passed due to COVID-19. However, he is coming back. This is the statement that he made. He said, after my grandfather's passing from COVID-19, I made a decision to opt out of the upcoming football season. Since then, I have done more research and had many conversations with doctors and medical personnel. I look forward to returning to the program and playing this season, and I have made the decision on my own. As a team, we are responsible for our actions and hold each other accountable within our environment. I have trust and confidence in Vandy's testing abilities and safety protocols. This is massive for Vanderbilt. They were already going to be up against it, right? Vandy is not the most talented team in the SEC. We can go ahead and say that. However, this means they've got all 11 returning starters this season on defense. And this guy, Moore, is their leading returning tackler. He was the fourth highest tackler in the SEC last year, had 99 tackles, had 3 pass breakups. I mean, he is an NFL draft prospect. He's a Butkus Award candidate. This is a big-time deal. And the fact that this is the first that we've seen of any player that has decided to opt back in after doing his own research, that's kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, and I trust that this kid knows how to find good research. And, you know, he's right in thinking that Vanderbilt's going to probably have some of the best testing in the sense of their medical school and the academics that go on at Vanderbilt. We just trust them to be able to do things right. This is a big deal. This speaks a lot to this kid, too, about how much I think football means to him and how much he wants to play, because it's not like he's opting in to go to Bama or LSU or Georgia or Florida and possibly compete for a national championship or an SEC title. This guy's fighting, and they're going to have to fight like hell to win one game.
No,
and he says, I'm in, and I'm in on all of this.
Yeah, I agree. We've got a bunch of people jumping in. Yeti 304 jumps in, said, what's up, guys? Justin Bilbo said, don't you guys love the AP preseason poll? We'll get to that. And then Yeti said the AP poll is hot garbage. We will get to the AP poll here momentarily. But yes, opting back in, having a guy from, one of the smart kid schools, we'll call it that.
That's right.
That's a pretty big deal. And I think you might see more. You might see more of this. So
yeah, I think so too.
Go ahead. Wait, with that said, let's dive off of that and let's actually talk football for a second. Or at least the fact that we are going to get football very, very soon. Look, we are 4 days away. I think the math is right on that. 4 days away. This Saturday, we have our first college football game that is going down. We've got the Central Arkansas Bears, and we've got the Austin Peay Governors playing. Now, it's an FCS matchup, but I will tell you this. It's on ESPN. It's at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Eastern. And it is being hosted at the Crampton Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama. It's a neutral site game. I think it's going to be massive ratings. It's not like we are going any further than we have without college football, right? Like we were supposed to get football on week 0, but I think with all the talk and the idea that we might not be getting it, I think it's going to do insane numbers. Now, these are not awful football teams, okay? Both of these teams made the FCS playoffs last year. Central Arkansas went 9-4 last year, and they opened the season with an upset win at Western Kentucky last year. And Western Kentucky was actually really good. So you got Austin Peay, who had to replace a coach. There were issues there, but is what it is. Mark Hudspeth used to be over at Louisiana Monroe, but he left. They are coming back this season, 11-4, return a whole lot of experience and whatnot. Austin Peay is supposed to be pretty good. Central Arkansas is supposed to be pretty good. This is going to be a fun game. I am looking forward to this. Are you in the same boat, or are you of the mindset that this ain't real football?
It's real football. I am not. I do not think it will do a massive number. We need to quantify what a massive number is.
I think there will be well over like 1.5 million people. I think this will do NBA type numbers right now.
All right. I might take the under on that, but maybe not. It's okay. But I am excited, and I will check in with it. Now, you know me, I have been just as deep as somebody could possibly be in the NBA and NHL playoffs. So it might take a little, as much as I want football, it might take a little more than this game to get me away from those, but I'm excited. Listen, if this goes off, there's no doubt the other ones are going off. Okay.
I agree.
Good sign for everything.
Justin Bilbo jumped in. He said, is there a line on the game yet? And not yet. I would imagine that there will be one at some of these offshore books.
I'm a bit where we're going to get closer to Friday before we see a number.
Yes, I would guarantee that, because they don't know what to set these lines at. We don't know, who's having to sit out because of contact tracing and whatever else. It's going to be a really strange year for odds. I'll admit that. It's going to be pretty weird, but I'm excited. I mean, we're 4 days away from that. And then once you get to Saturday, you've only got to go until the next Thursday before you get Central Arkansas playing at UAB. That's and then you got South Alabama at Southern Miss. So we got actual FBS football games that are happening next Thursday. So we're only 9 days away from that. I'm pumped. I am excited. We have got real football that is going to be happening on your TV screen very, very soon. Now, with that said, talking about TV screens and whatnot, I would imagine there will be a lot of people watching this, and I would imagine there will be a lot of people that are NFL fans that will be interested in this. October 3rd, North Dakota State has announced that they are playing Central Arkansas. This is the most Central Arkansas I believe I've ever talked in my entire life. But this is a program that is taking as many chances as they possibly can. They're saying, we're going to get exposure one way or another. And I love it. That cheers to them for taking all the risks, going wherever they need to go, getting on TV as many times as they need to. North Dakota State's only playing one game this year, and they're playing it against Central Arkansas, and it's in the Fargo Dome on October the 3rd. Now, they haven't announced the time. They haven't announced TV, whatever. But this is your one shot to see quarterback Trey Lance this fall. It is doubtful that he is going to play a spring season because he's a potential top 5 NFL draft pick. All the mock drafts that have come out have him top 5, top 10. They're saying he could go before Justin Fields. Some of them have him going before Trevor Lawrence. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. I think there is a possibility you might see more scouts at that game than you will actual fans allowed in the stadium. I think it's going to be insane. Here were his numbers last year, by the way. He's a 6'4", 200-pound dual threat quarterback. Look, 66.9% completion rate last year. He was 197 out of 289 passing. He was 2,786 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, ran for 1,100 yards, and had 14 touchdowns rushing. The guy was unbelievable, threw no interceptions, didn't turn the football over at all, won a national championship, and North Dakota State has kind of a run here of some pretty successful quarterbacks in the NFL, the guys that are getting drafted. Would you be watching this? I mean, it's the same day as Auburn, Georgia, A&M, Alabama, and Oklahoma and Iowa State. So it's
if I watch, it'll depend on the time slot, but probably not unless it's early because all of those games are going to be 2:30 and later, probably.
Yes, I would imagine that.
Now, if it gets a noon game time, come on, I'm with it.
Bring it on, right? Bring it on. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You get one game, and I think that it's really going to be a showcase game. What other reason would North Dakota State have for playing a single game this fall? Is there one?
No. And I'm kind of surprised that they only planned to play one because I think they probably could have gotten 3 or 4 games scheduled if they wanted to.
I think so. I think this is really only one for the quarterback. I really think that's what it is.
I just don't know why wouldn't you try to – I mean, the more football you can play, the better it's going to help you and your program going forward in the future.
Well, I think because they are still going to be playing in the spring because the FCS is going to try and host a full tournament.
Oh, I did not know that the FCS is going to try to play spring ball.
Yeah, they are planning on pushing for that. And apparently they were able to get away with it, with a one game, and not season, but they were able to schedule one game in the fall and it not count against them and it not keep them from competing for a championship, et cetera, et cetera.
That's good.
But when you've got NFL guys that may not play in the spring because they need to be getting ready for the draft, they need to be getting ready for the combine, I can understand it. This is kind of a showcase. So I don't think it counts towards any rankings or ratings or anything like that. But we'll see. I mean, we will see. I find it funny because Central Arkansas, I mean, they said, you know what, forget it. We're just going to play as many games as we possibly can. Like I said, they're playing against Austin Peay. They're playing against UAB. They're playing this game. They're going all over the place. I don't think they're worried about a spring season. I think they are saying, all right, we want as much exposure as humanly possible. And it's a smart way to go about it, I think.
I guess that's why my question is, why did North Dakota State try to do some of this?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I think that they want to compete for a championship. I think Central Arkansas is not interested in a spring season.
No,
like I don't think Central Arkansas is playing for a championship. North Dakota State has won like 7 of the last 9.
Yeah, so I guess if you're right, if they're being promised, my problem is all of these kids in the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and these other conferences were told, if you do everything right, you're going to get to play, and then the rug got pulled out from under them. Are they holding out hope and not playing this fall in games that they could be playing in on the promises of the NCAA? Because that's not somebody I want to just hold my breath and take their word for it.
I agree. Justin jumps in. He said, it's hard to go against North Dakota State. And he said, the kid's good, but he won't go ahead of Lawrence or Fields. I mean, you never know. You never know. So it's some of these guys get super hyped up, and we just see what happens from there.
As long as Ryan Pace is the GM of the Bears, and nothing will surprise me.
No, you've got that right. That wouldn't surprise me at all if they just dump both of those quarterbacks and roll with this guy. But
they can't dump Foles. They owe Foles like another $30 million next year.
Yeah, but is he not set up to where if you cut him, then?
Oh, I'm certain he's not. No, I'm certain he signed a 2-year deal where all of it's guaranteed.
Probably so. Either way, he'll get picked up by somebody because people fall in love with quarterbacks every year. It's what they do. All right, let's dive into a preview, an individual preview. Right, we've been doing all of these conference previews. If you want to go find our ACC, Big 12, and then this week we're going to have up the SEC East and the SEC West. We have not been able to do an independent one. We have not been able to do, the smaller conferences because they haven't announced schedules. They're still scheduling stuff out, etc. But what we did get was a finalized schedule for the Army Black Knights. Now, I wanted to use part of today to go ahead and do a little bit of a preview for Army because I know that we've got some Black Knights fans that jump in here. We're going to have a good time with this. Damian jumps in. He said, really, you just had to mention Ryan Pace?
I knew you were listening, Damian, and we feel the same way. We want to push him out a window.
I think that's about right. All right, so with Army, look, they went 5-8 last year. That's not good, right? Obviously, we are both. Maybe not obviously. Those of you that are watching this for the first time that don't know us, we are big fans of Jeff Monken. We think he's a fantastic coach.
I think he's a very good coach. Yes.
His record recently. 2016 went 8-5, 2017 went 10-3, 2018 went 11-2, and then last year everything fell completely apart. Went 5-8, right? This year only 53% returning production, but Army is almost always like that. They went from number 65 returning production last year to number 102 this season. So that's not good. But, the schedule is finalized and they've got 8 home games, 2 road games, and 1 neutral. Obviously, the neutral is Navy every single season, right? They close that one out. Look, they had to replace quarterback Ahmad Bradshaw, who was the school's all-time leading rusher, all-time. I mean, he was Mr. Everything for them. That was after the 2018 season. He was the one who took them to 11-2. That offense was humming, and then they brought in last year Kelvin Hopkins at quarterback. He was not all that good. But the quarterback that they got coming in this year, He had 76 rushes last year, and that's what Army does. For those that don't know, triple option, all triple option. Justin said they almost upset Michigan last year. Really impressed me. Just had tough luck in OT. Hey, they lost 5 games by single digits last year. So 8 games that they lost, 5 of them were by single digits, 4 by a single possession. So, it was rough stuff last year. They could not seem to get it going, but the guy that is replacing him, let's see, the guy's name is Jabari Laws. 76 rushes last year, had an average of 6.4 yards per carry. Just
good.
Insane numbers. But at Army, it is really about seniority. The seniors play at Army. That's the way it goes. So this guy is next up. He's the next up. And they look like they have got some talent this year. It looks like this is going to be a good season for Army. Let me go through the schedule really quick just to give you an idea. And then I'm going to toss a little thought into your head, okay? They open with Middle Tennessee State at home, Louisiana Monroe at home, Brigham Young, BYU, at home. Then they've got a TBD or a bye, whichever one. They play Abilene Christian at home, the Citadel at home. They play at UT San Antonio. They play against Mercer. They play Air Force, if Air Force decides to actually play this season. They play at Tulane. They host Georgia Southern, and then they've got Navy in Philadelphia. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but let's talk about the idea of an 11-0 Army football team. What do you do with an 11? Because this schedule is not crazy. Like, obviously, Air Force could be trouble. Tulane could be trouble. BYU could be trouble. I mean, what do you do with an 11-0 team against that schedule?
Nothing. You say that's an amazing job. I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic run from our boys in the military. Good job.
Yes. Damian said,
I mean, what you want to put them in the playoff? Is that what you want?
I was kind of thinking about it. I mean, it's kind of nuts. It wouldn't.
So the old BCS rules had like qualifiers to where if one of the military academies ever went undefeated, they would be in the BCS championship game, or they'd be in the BCS. They might not be in the championship game.
Yeah, I could see them in New Year's Six.
Get one of the BCS games. 100% they would get a New Year's Six bowl if we have bowls in any shape or size form. But that would be incredible. I don't see it happening.
I don't either.
I mean, I guess we could have fantasized about this every year, but I just don't see it happening.
Well, it feels a lot more real right now when you've got Mercer and UTSA and Georgia Southern and whatever.
Listen, you go ahead and chalk W's up to BYU and Tulane and Navy and Air Force, okay? I'm going to tell you this. If they're 10-0 going in that Navy game, I am betting the house on Navy. I'm just going to do it.
I can believe that.
I might be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I'm betting the house on Navy because Navy is not going to. If Navy could do anything but ruin Army's perfect season like that, those guys will literally die on the field trying.
Their projected win total by the guys over at CFB Winning Edge, they do a lot of the advanced analytics, 5.96. So
that's a hell of a long way from 11-0, Gary.
But here's the deal. They are only underdogs against Air Force, Tulane, and BYU. Oh, I'm sorry, and Navy. But we're talking minuscule points. So, hey, I'm just tossing it out there. It's not outside of the realm of possibilities.
That's insane.
You know me, man. I hope for the day that Army actually goes undefeated. I like this team. I like this coach.
I'm not saying I don't. I think that's a
I gotta get me an Army Black Knight shirt. That's what I gotta get. I gotta get me a Black Knight shirt. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's close out with this. The AP poll, the preseason top 25, was released yesterday. Okay. And they had 9 teams that were not even playing. And the editor, like the sports editor of the AP, said that it was crucial that they give a snapshot of what the season would have looked like. And you and I have talked before about this, about how, is it, what is the meaning of these preseason polls? Like, we talked about it just being a conversation topic, etc. And you told me yesterday that it is dangerous to do this. Now, I find it very interesting that the CFP came out yesterday and they released their dates for their ranking shows. They're doing November 17th, November 24th, December 1st, December 8th, and December 15th. And then they will actually decide on Selection Sunday, December 20th. So that gives everybody time to get in their championship games and whatever else. And they are still going to have the semifinals, which would be the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, on January 1st, which is only, 12 days after that. And then you still have the national championship on January the 11th. You've got 9 teams in this preseason AP poll that will not even be playing. Now, they're saying that going forward, once the season starts, once they get into week 1, week 2, whatever, that teams that are not playing will not be eligible for the poll. But these preseason polls are somewhat important, if only for the idea of what they are, right? Let's go back to 2017. Alabama gets into the top 4 as a one-loss non-conference champion over a one-loss Big Ten champion, Ohio State. Now, Ohio State had their issues that year and whatnot, but one of the reasons that they gave was Alabama's scheduling and that they played number 3 Florida State in their non-conference. But Florida State finished the year 6-6. They were number 3 in that first game, and that was because of the preseason poll. Now, give me your thoughts here, because looking at even last year, Minnesota was nowhere near the top 25 in the preseason last year. And yet they start out, 9-0? And that first CFP ranking comes out, and the highest that they got was number 8. And they ended the season 10-2 with a win over a top 10 Penn State team. And their losses were justifiable, right? They didn't take any bad losses. And yet they ended the season ranked number 18. Now, they went to the bowl game and they beat Auburn and they looked good and whatnot, and they ended up higher in the AP poll. But that AP poll, the beginning, it makes people think that, you're not supposed to be this good. Maybe you just got lucky.
You don't belong here.
Right. Give me your thoughts here on what this could mean.
Well, I mean, it's just asinine. It's something that I hate. I hate preseason polls. I hate them every year. If you continue to follow us, you will hear me sound like a broken record at this time of year every year. I don't only think they're worthless. I think they're actively harmful. This year, I love that they added teams that aren't even going to play in the season. I mean, let's just make up fantasy teams, just fairy tale teams, and I'm just going to start ranking them in the top 25 because it's the same thing as putting Ohio State number 2. They're a fictional character in this play that we're going to play, and it doesn't matter. But yet we got to rank them. Why? Because we have to cater to them, because we have to kiss their ass, because we think they are more important than the teams that are actually going to play. Because heaven forbid we put a little team like Memphis in the top 25 or some of these other smaller schools that probably deserve it based on their resume and their record. This is strictly the haves and the have-nots. 100%. The people who do this, who have put these polls out, don't even watch the smaller schools. They only watch the big schools. They don't know who Louisiana is. They don't know how good they are. They don't know about Appalachian State. They might remember a decade ago that Appalachian State beat Michigan once a long time ago. But outside of that, they couldn't tell you anything about that school because they don't follow it, because they're nothing to them. They're just peons that just get in the way and let me only cater to the big boys. And it's garbage. It's just garbage. And I use the words, it's actively harmful. It's dangerous. Why? Because these rankings get inside people's heads, and at the end of the year, they determine who's going to succeed and who's not. They determine who's going to be ranked where and who's not. All right. And if you're preseason ranked number 1, okay, and you play a cupcake schedule, okay, you just beat up a bunch of nobodies, and somebody else runs through a complete gauntlet. Well, because you were preseason 1, we can't drop you because you didn't do anything to lose a game. Yeah, but you shouldn't have been preseason 1 to begin with, because we don't care what you look like on paper before we actually start watching football.
Now, to be fair, and this is, I'm just going opposite side for a second, devil's advocate. They did do that to Clemson last year. Clemson was preseason number 1, and they were number 3 going into the playoff, even though they didn't lose a game. But
those other two teams put up performances that were unheard of good. Let's say LSU and Ohio State just win all their games, but they don't beat the hell out of everybody. They don't jump them then.
No, you're right. You're 100% right.
So that's the problem, is you have to not just beat your opponent, you must humiliate them if you're going to jump somebody in this magical fictional poll that we put out before the season starts. And woe be unto you if you're Minnesota. How dare you just think that you can play with the gods? How dare you think you belong at this table? No. And so now we have to let you in. So we'll inch you up and inch you up. 9-0, Gary. They were 9-0 playing a large chunk of their divisional and conference schedule against real legitimate talent. 9-0. And they barely cracked the top 10, and a slew of people had losses.
Yeah, with the win over, what was it, a top 5 Penn State team?
Yeah.
So and then only cracked the number 8.
Barely cracked the top 10. And as soon as they lost, man, they flushed them down as low as they can flush them.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Now, they didn't do themselves any favors, obviously, with the big, 3-touchdown loss to Wisconsin in the year. But even still,
but that's the problem. Hang on, wait a minute. It's okay for Penn State to have a big loss like that, but it's not okay for them to. Why? Because they're not the same as Penn State. No. You don't belong at this table. You don't belong at this party. I don't even know how you got invited. We just let you here because Penn State and Ohio State and Michigan need someone to beat up on.
Yes.
That's the problem.
I agree. Now, obviously, the coaches poll came out, at this point, it feels like forever ago. But we do have the 2 preseason polls out. They set a dangerous precedent, and we'll see what it means going forward in the rest of the season. But yeah, that's 9 teams that don't get to showcase that they were preseason top 25 just based on the fact that they rank teams that aren't even playing. Kind of ridiculous. All right, Chris, if anything else that we need to hit on?
Nope, that's it.
All right, let's go ahead and dive out of here. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you to everybody that jumped in the chat today. Tell your friends, share the show out. Make sure that you hit that like button. So we are going to be doing this all the time. We will be back again on Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, 6:30 Eastern. So make sure that you've got your watch set, all that good stuff, and we will be back for that. Head over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You like the show, share the show out, and yeah, for sportsbookreview.com, I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next time.